Beep 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 beep. Breaking news. Hello. Welcome to the 88th episode of the Paul Town Hall Elliot Rogers Experience. Have some big stuff today. A bit of drama. We'll do that first, then we'll go into the news. A few people on the alt-right, of which I'm not a part of, being that I'm part of the scumbag left, because I'm actually counterculture. The alt-right, a movement of nationalists, ethno-nationalists, to be more precise, white nationalists. Many people have been doxxed, specifically from the network of podcasts and articles called TRS, therightstuff.biz. A few people who were doxxed were, and what a doxing is basically a release of personal information such as their name, their address, their phone numbers, that sort of stuff, where they work, for the purpose of getting them fired, harassed, because when people have ideas you don't like, the best way to, show that the ideas are wrong, or to make sure that, they can't feed their family and they can't get work because you call them a Nazi and that sort of stuff. It's just normal free market ideas stuff. Just like proof that your ideas are superior, because if they can't feed their family, that means that they're wrong about what they said. So a few people from TRS got doxxed. Among them was a guy named Seventh Son. I'm not going to name the names, their actual names, the purported actual names, but Seventh Son got doxxed. A man who went by the name of Bulbasaur, who actually was not a Pokemon character, surprisingly enough. And then also a man by the name of Mike ENOCH and his wife. And the reason this is particularly, however you say that, interesting or newsworthy, is that the man who goes by the name of Mike ENOCH, they run a podcast called The Daily Shoah, which is a joke about the Shoah, which is the Holocaust, and it's just something you really can't joke about. There's certain things that are just not comedy and will never ever be funny, and you better not ever joke about them, and one of those things is the Holocaust. And so the Seventh Son and Mike ENOCH were the two main podcasters on that show, a weekly show on radio.therightstuff.biz. Whatever you do, don't listen to it. They got doxxed, and in the doxing it turned out that Mike ENOCH's wife is at least 25% Jewish, which is a big deal in the white nationalist, white identitarian movement, because generally Jews are not seen as white. I can't understand why. They definitely see themselves as white. That's why they always advocate for white interests. And so, upon that revelation, Mike ENOCH released a statement that he would be stepping down, or that basically, he said, yeah, like that is my wife. She is. He essentially said she is part Jewish. And so, because of that, he's apparently not going to be doing the Daily Shoah anymore. Seventh Son, even though he has been doxxed, he is going to continue to do the podcast. There was some extra fallout due to this wave of doxings. There is another podcast called Fascination, and they were actually the biggest podcast on that network, and they have taken down their their recordings, that sort of stuff, and they're took that on their site, fascination.com, in order, I'm guessing, as a precaution against being doxxed. And as of now, it looks like they're either on hiatus or they're done. We're not sure which it is. So yeah, so that's that. It's not pleasant, not a good thing, It's not good to have ideas that, the current power structure is white supremacy, and that's why, people like Mike Enoch and Seventh Son and Bulbasaur and the people who ran the Fascist Nation podcast, that's why they use pseudonyms, because as everyone knows, the dominant ideology, people have to, when they speak for the dominant ideology, which is white nationalism, white interests, that sort of stuff, self-preservation of white people in white countries founded by white people for white people, such as America, or which is really horrible and racist. And imagine if it wasn't founded just for white people, then well, it wasn't. It was founded for everybody, but it's really a dominantly white supremacist ideology that's kind of running society at the moment. That's why they need to use pseudonyms, because that's just how people in power. Whereas you have true counterculture people who run the podcast, the Chapo Trap House, which is the dirtbag left, of which I am a member of. They're the edgy ones, they're the counterculture ones. They stick it to the man. They're anti-racist, egalitarians, and they're not afraid to use some bad words every once in a while. And that's why they can use their real names, and they make $30,000 per month via donations from people using their real names. That's why that's how they're counterculture, because there's one thing counterculture podcasts and productions always get. It's lots of funding, lots of coverage, positive coverage from the media, which is also another anti-establishment force. Anyway, in starting off with our news, in UC Davis, protesters shut down far-right white supremacist Milo Yiannopoulos and Martin Shkreli, a gay Jew and an Albanian. They shut down their little speech, which really shows, it's really, evidence that, far-right ideology has really taken hold of America when, they're even allowed to even schedule, Milo Yiannopoulos is famous for his, far-right views, such as, black sodomy and, homosexuality, and Martin Shkreli, an Albanian, who's famous for far-right views such as, well, nobody really knows what Martin Shkreli believes, but it's, since Albanians are white, it's probably something fascist, and so protesters shut it down. They threw feces at Martin Shkreli, which technically could be considered, it was Antifa who did that, anti-fascist, very peaceful, very, probably the cream of the crop of society. They risk everything by going out there, because if you're in Antifa and you get doxed, there goes your job at whatever high profile, really powerful, something that takes a lot of skill to get a job that I'm sure lots of Antifa people have. They bankers and lots of anti-establishment people, bankers and stockbrokers and neurosurgeons, the people who make up Antifa. They threw feces at Martin Shkreli, so technically that could be considered a white on non-white hate crime. But it wasn't a hate crime, it was actually a love crime. And could you really call it a crime? Martin Shkreli, he deserves it. Next, we have some good, I stumbled across this on CNN Style. I often go on CNN Style, to keep up on the trends, when I'm going out. You need to look good, you need to give off, since I'm a member of the dirtbag right, or left, sorry, I'm not right wing, okay? You gotta look good, you gotta, give off a good vibe. as an anti-establishment type. And so I was on CNN Style and I saw this story, and it's entitled 100 Years of Wisdom, Touching Portraits of Century-Old Americans. And I haven't really seen this in the media, this story, which is very telling, because the weird thing of all these pictures, they're all white people. And that's just, it's weird because, America was always a melting pot, and if that, one thing that really isn't taught in our white supremacist, racist textbooks is that up until the 1960s, America was actually 96% non-white. It was actually founded, it was founded by Africans, of course, people, the bedrock of American society, the ones who invented everything like peanut butter, and they gave that gift to the Mayans, and stop signs and stoplights, and maybe space travel, I'm not sure. America was founded by blacks and Hispanics, and so it's really weird. They must have found like the only white people back then who are now 100, which is kind of weird. I don't know. It's one of those funny things that it's just more evidence of white supremacy run rampant again. In Germany, Facebook has rolled out a fake news filter, which is really good. Mark Zuckerberg, he's a really solid patriot, Jewish American patriot who really just wants to put an end to fake news. Fake news, being stuff that is fake. And who determines what's fake? Well, the unbiased, people like Mark Zuckerberg or Angela Merkel. I really don't like to pronounce German words in their German enunciation because I get flashbacks to when my 4 grandparents were, in the camps. So I try not to pronounce German words correctly. That's just personal preference. So basically Facebook has rolled out a fake news filter. This would be the first case in Germany of censorship. Usually, Germany, well, we don't need to say the N-word, and by the N-word I don't mean, what my white neighbors call, the founders of America, black people. I'm the N-word in this case is Nazis, and so it's really good to see, it's not censorship, it's more content curation and pruning of far-right things. So let's say, more fake news goes out about maybe migrants raping a girl, and as there was a story recently how they found, a girl who was raped until death, and they found 40 different sperm samples inside her from 40 different people. Or 48, I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. This white girl, I'm not sure what country it was from, but they found her body, and and well, what can we say? That's probably fake news. We all know that people who come from the Middle East, people who come from Somalia, well, they know how to practice courting and traditional European relationships. So it'll be really good to see how Facebook blocks out the hateful reporting of migrant rape and that sort of stuff. Moving on, Jared Kushner, who is married to Ivanka Trump, is going to be serving as a Trump senior advisor. And it's really good because, Jewish interests and Jewish people in the government, in the United States government, are really underrepresented. So I'm sure he'll have lots of good, unbiased advice for Trump. That's good. A good sign of maybe the Trump presidency maybe doing something right for once. And what's really exceptional about this young man is, his father was actually one of those rare Jewish people who got in trouble for finances. And his father, his father went to jail and for scamming people, which is really, really Jews are usually such model citizens, and so what's really exceptional about this young man is that he managed to get control of a newspaper, The Observer, I'm pretty sure, and he runs a news organization, which is it's good to see Jews finally branching out towards media and government control of non-Jewish countries. That's good. That's really good. A new survey just came out and shows that the majority of U.S. troops have an unfavorable, and that's in quotes, so who knows what they really mean, view of Obama's presidency. That's right. White racism has struck again. As we all know, white troops are the minority. It's usually, like I said, it's usually Jews and blacks and Hispanics, people who founded the country, who serve in the military. And it's really puzzling that they would have an unfavorable view of Obama because, who doesn't want to go out into the desert, after the person who got elected, promised to not make you go out into the desert and, shoot people and get shot at, and that's just the American dream, is to go fight in the Middle East for reasons that are not entirely clear. In other news, in local news, Virginia, where I definitely do not live and have never been there, so I am also left wing. Yeah, and my name is Paul Town. So I doxed myself right there. Don't look up Paul Town. Don't get me fired from my really powerful job. So basically a black waitress, she got her paid by somebody, a white couple, I can only presume, flashback to slavery, making a black person serve. That's a very, loaded language in this BBC article. White people in Virginia, flashbacks to slavery, flashbacks to cotton fields. This waitress, I'm sure she gave exceptional service, as black people tend to do in restaurants. They're clean and they prompt service and they get your order right, that sort of stuff. She got the bill, the receipt back after they paid, and they said, there was 0 tip, and on the bottom of the receipt they said, great service, but we don't tip black people. Now some may say, well, the tables have turned, and I don't know what they mean by that. I don't know what they mean by white people not tipping black people, being that, tables have turned. What is that supposed to mean? Yeah, anyway, so that's just, more... this probably could be considered a hate crime. Yeah. That's just really sick. Black people, they go out of their way to tip really well. And, well, some would say, well, the tables have turned. And I don't know what that means, and I don't know why people are saying that. It's just not funny. It's not funny. It's really not a funny story. In other news, beep, 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 beep. In Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, there is a heroin scourge turning into the, quote, most unhappy place in America. And I don't know about you, but that's not what heroin's supposed to do. I would not know. I've never taken drugs. I would never take drugs. I'm straight edge, and I don't know. But apparently heroin is supposed to make you feel good, so I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. But yeah, there's really no good explanation for why this sort of thing would be happening in, in America of all places. We're getting more diverse as time goes on. I think it's 65% not diverse, so we need to get that down to 0. But it's over the past 60 years, it's gotten increasingly diverse, and hopefully that speeds up. I don't understand why multiculturalism and diversity, people bowling alone, would result in, despair and loneliness that kind of leads to drug use. I'm not really sure why that would be the case. Jobs are, with multiculturalism and with increased immigration, the GDP goes up, so that must mean that everybody gets richer, right? Because the GDP is, going up. The GDP is per capita, right? Right. In other news, in big news, Trump, or should I say, Golden Trump in this case, he, you know how he likes everything in gold. Well, there's a reason for that. Let's just say Freud has a bit of an explanation for you guys here. So a very, very, very legitimate, very ironclad, unverified report, very serious report, was released by the world-renowned and very prestigious BuzzFeed News. And in the report, it was a government report on Trump, or should I say Golden Trump in this case. And one of the claims that the report made, just out of the blue, was that somehow that, Russia is actually controlling Trump. And that's really one narrative that I really haven't seen. And it's a very new narrative, I just think we kind of need to go to war with Russia now. And the reason being is that, apparently there's video, of Trump that Putin actually recorded from a double, a one-sided mirror. Putin's a small guy, Russians, they're small. He was behind the mirror videotaping at this Kremlin hotel. And, Trump, he's kind of, he's not used to politics. He's not used to people trying to blackmail him or, we all know Trump, he says he's straight edge. But, the people who say they're straight edge, excuse me, people who say they're straight edge tend to be, they tend to be a little freaky. And there's nothing wrong with that, except when you're Trump. And apparently Trump was in a Kremlin hotel, and he booked the room that Michelle and Barack Obama, peace be upon him, stayed at. And so he booked that, and he had hookers, women of the night, thoughts, Satan's children, just women. He paid them to come over, or Putin did. I'm not sure. Putin probably did it because Putin's a bad guy. Let's just say that Putin's a bad guy, and we should probably nuke Russia. He paid them to come over and urinate on the bed that Michelle and Barack slept on. And, well, there's really no proof of this. Well, who am I kidding? There's lots of proof of this. For example, BuzzFeed released a report, and we all know BuzzFeed would not release a report unless they were 100% sure. We also, especially with their, their pro-Trump bias and pro-Russia bias, Jews and Russia, they get along, and there's I don't want to get anti-Semitic here because I don't want to, there's Jews are white. So, whites and Russia get along very well. And there's no, no historical events that might lead, the white people, white Bolsheviks and people like that to kind of hate Russia and have a grudge. They get along very well. So there's really no reason why they would make up this report. And I just find it very reasonable that that Trump would go out of his way and in a bugged Kremlin hotel and have the women of the night urinate upon a bed that Michelle and Obama slept in. Which is surprising because I didn't think Michelle and Obama slept in the same bed. But that's neither here nor there. Exactly. In Charleston, bowl cut cult member Dylan Roof has been sentenced to death. And usually I'm against the death penalty, but for subhumans, like Dylan Roof, it's good. He went to he went. I like this story a lot because it involves church, it involves religion, and it involves white people being bad to black people. And the reason I like it is not because I like what happened. Well, I do like what happened, but it's not because I really like what happened. But the reason it's an interesting story is, Dylan Roof. Well, he was your average white kid on antidepressants, isolated, lonely, kind of feeling like maybe this country that, his forefathers, fought for and kind of, built up from the ground from nothing, was kind of, being given away to foreigners and people who, he made these in his manifesto that was released, or leaked or found. He made these horrible, like really racist claims that like black people rape white people, or like black people commit lots of crimes and on white people, and it's kind of not reported by the media. And this is really sick and untrue because we all know never heard of Fox News? That's right. In other news, U2 is now delaying their album release because they need breathing space, quote unquote, to reassess after the Trump win. Some have accused U2's lead singer Bono of writing generic songs about tragedies and waiting for tsunamis, earthquakes, that sort of stuff, to waiting for those tragedies to happen, and then releasing a song right after in a strangely time efficient manner, in a way to kind of capitalize on tragedy and human suffering. But I just think, U2, they're one of, God's gifts. They are Irish, so a case could be made that they're not white. But that's, like I said, that's neither here nor there. So they're not going to be releasing their album. Literally dozens of people are very upset about this. Mainly the U2 band members. I, for one, I'm very upset because there's one thing I really, I'm a big fan of U2 because, they come out with fresh sound. And I'm a bit of an audiophile myself, and U2, well, they know how to redefine a genre. That genre being music, rock music. Their style is so unique, and, you never know what you're going to get with a U2 song. You could get a pop ballad, you might get, you might get a pop ballad. The person who posted the Trump dossier that I mentioned previously, he's in hiding after releasing it, probably fearing for his life. And this is very, this really indicates that the report was true because, well, it's true. Why would he go hide? It's not like he doesn't want to answer questions. It's not like maybe he was put up to this. And we all know, if you remember in 2003, the reports came out. There was an MI6 officer as well. They came out with reports, talking about, the weapons of mass destruction and yellow caked uranium. And those were true. So I have no reason to maybe think that the same tactics are being used that got us into the middle of nowhere in the desert for dubious reasons are being used here. There's no reason to suspect that maybe they're using the same playbook to get us involved in a war with Russia. I don't know why I can't think of any ethnic grudges or any common denominator of people who wanted a war in the Middle East and now want Russia, which kind of ruined our intervention in Syria. I can't think of any people with a history of grudges, or maybe lying, or maybe not fighting their own wars. I can't think. Yeah, so really, there's no reason why I should doubt this sort of stuff. Really a heartwarming story here. It's really a beautiful story. I kind of teared up when I saw it. I'm gonna try to get through this without, crying tears of joy. A a teenager in Tennessee has raised $10,000 after reporting that, her parents, in a fit of bigotry and hate, they disowned, they cut off her college money. And that's one thing that's good, is it's women going to college. It's one thing that's really, we need more of, because, there's not enough women in careers. There's too many women who are housewives and, being really unhappy raising families and starting young and, finding a man who kind of can provide, that sort of stuff. That's not the way to happiness. We need more women in college. And these parents, they cut off her college fund because she has a black boyfriend. And that's just really sick, because why would they do that? What reason? Like, maybe, bigotry, like, oh, you want your grandkids to look like you, or, oh, you don't want your daughter to be a single mother, or maybe, oh, I don't want my daughter to be hit and abused, that sort of stuff. Really, it's just such bigoted stuff that's not backed up by statistics. If you go to the FBI crime tables, you're not going to see any domestic abuse. That doesn't happen with biracial, multiracial couples. With, black boyfriends, white girlfriends, that sort of stuff. That's not something that ever happens. And so really, I was happy because, $10,000, that's definitely worth, outing your parents as horrible bigots and kind of ruining their lives and, cutting off all family support. $10,000 or that, I take the 10 grand. Rosie O'Donnell, she wants martial law. There's really not much to say about this. She wants martial law because before Trump gets in, and I think it's reasonable. She's a very reasonable woman. She's not a fat pig who was probably abused by a father. That didn't happen. So let's get martial law. Maybe make, Obama, he's young. He can maybe go 16 more years before the next Democrat president. Ben Carson is being grilled. I'm not sure. That might be a little racist. I'm not going to say that headline because it's grilled. I don't know. Anyway, Ben Carson is being questioned on, he was being questioned because he's being, he's going before the Senate. He had a confirmation hearing for his position at the head of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. He was being asked lots of questions, and Ben Carson, in classic wise Ben fashion, he when they asked him hard questions, he answered. Well, he didn't answer. He was asleep. They woke him up and he popped some more downers and went back to sleep. So all's good on that front. In Harlem, the jewel of America, a teen had to smack a gun away from a 12-year-old, probably a white kid. Just who has guns in Harlem? That's usually whites, because she had some McNuggets, and the 12-year-old said, "Hey man, I want that McNugget," and she smacked the gun away. And another example of just how well our inner cities are doing. It's good that 12-year-olds are getting guns. That's the Switzerland method. Everyone has a gun, especially 12-year-olds in the inner city where they're learning a lot and participating well in school. It's just security. Johnny Depp has claimed that ex-managers are scammed him out of millions of dollars, and he's it's kind of weird. I don't really I can't imagine why people named Joel and Robert Mandel, I'm not really sure what that last name is. It kind of sounds a little kosher. I'm not sure what that means. They apparently stole money from an actor, and managers, they provide a lot of value and they usually don't steal, so I'm not sure what the deal is with that. What else? Bernie Madoff. He is in prison for running a scheme, which is very rare for people with the last name Madoff, which I'm not really sure. It sounds like a, I don't know, maybe Irish name, maybe German name. I'm not sure what Madoff, but that doesn't matter. Well, he has cornered the market in hot chocolate in prison, and that's neither, as I said prior, that's neither here nor there, but it's kind of funny. Yeah. What else? There's not much else here. Yeah, to wrap it up, two last stories here. Literally hundreds of people have rallied for immigrants in Los Angeles, California. And these immigrants, they came over illegally. They kind of snuck across the border. They don't pay taxes. They kind of go on welfare. But they're a very vibrant part of, Californian culture. And so hundreds of... well, I'll just read the article. The multi-ethnic crowd gathered Saturday at a downtown Mexican-American cultural center. I like how this is Mexican then American. That's good. Cultural center and plaza. Some carried signs say, "Here to stay," and chanted, "Si se puede," or Spanish. Sorry, I don't pronounce Spanish words very well. I'm kind of learning. I'm trying to learn it before 2050, where they're the majority. Which I'll probably just kill myself because I don't. I want to make sure we can get to 100% diversity in America as soon as possible. Yeah, so which is Spanish for yes, we can. Which can what? I'm not sure, but whatever they can do, whatever they put their heart to, they can do it. That's the American dream. People coming over illegally, not doing paperwork, and not paying taxes. In the final story here, the ex-Miss Hungary, I don't know why she's so hungry, but ex-Miss Hungary has claimed that Donald Trump invited her to his Moscow hotel room, and he was married at the time, which is very surprising if you have your head buried in the sand. There's not much of the story. She was at a beauty pageant, and she got a message saying, "Hey, go to this hotel room. It's Donald Trump's. He wants to see you." And if there's anyone I believe, it's somebody who sells their body and is literally just there for looks. That's what I believe. Anyway, if you want to support this show, which is being renamed Fashion Nation for SEO purposes, you can head on over to patreon.com/paultown. This has been a bit of a long one here. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I just want to sincerely wish, Mike Enoch and the Seventh Son and, Jazz Hands McFeels and Halberstram and Ghoul and also Bulbasaur of the TRS Radio Network. I really do genuinely want to wish them, safety. I know they all have guns, or if they don't, they're getting them. Yeah, stay safe, guys. I would hate for you guys to run into any trouble. Yeah, stay safe. You guys have done a lot, and I hope you can get back to making stuff. If you can't, that's alright. I understand. You gotta do what you gotta do. So stay safe. Best of luck out there. Yes. Alright, I will talk to you guys next week. Goodbye.